Linda Willow Roberts from the Magical Manifesting Show on Spiritual Events Directory. So I'm Linda Willow Roberts and I'm from the I'm a Manifestor Facebook page. So tonight we're talking about manifesting, and we're using the I'm a Manifesting Magical Oracle Cards. So I'll just pop on, I'll do a little bit of maintenance first and I'll get up so I can actually see your comments, so it won't be a moment. So we'll just pop in and I'll just wait for a few people to pop on. And I'll turn the volume down so that I can't hear me. And we're good to go. So first up, we're going to use the I'm a Manifestor Magical Oracle Cards to have a look at what the energy is for this week at the moment, so that we know what we're working with, how we can best manifest using the energies, and I've pulled a card, the energies that are around at the moment. So let's pull 3 cards, and then we'll be talking about manifesting, my favourite word, my favourite thing to do. Let's have a look. So the first card that we have is manifesting. Can you believe that we're talking about manifesting and the manifesting card has come up? So what that means in respect to the energy at the moment is that's the energy that we're sitting in. We're manifesting. We're attracting what it is we want, not what it is we don't want. So Spirit's up there and they're juggling everything for us, and we're just about to, it's all just about to come to fruition for us. Hi Melissa, hi Nikki. Okay, let's have a look at the next card. What else are they going to tell us? It's like a story unwinding. This is a closed door, which is pretty much the opposite of the manifesting cards. The wolf on the door and the crow. The wolf's keeping everything away from the door. So when you get a closed door card, it means that something that you thought was going to be happening is closed off to you, only because there's something better coming. So instead of pushing and forcing and trying to make something happen, if the door's closed, acknowledge that it's closed and wait for that next best thing. So we've got the manifesting card, so we know things are manifesting and getting ready for us. We've got the closed door card, which we know that that's not the door for us because there's something better coming. Now let's have a look. What else have we got? So we've got the surroundings. So we're looking at our surroundings to make sure that what's around us is not toxic, and that it is what's around us is what we want more of the universe to ripple into and bring us more of that. Okay, so we've got manifesting, we've got the closed door, and we've got look at our surroundings and make sure we're in a loving, peaceful place that's for our highest good. Now, last week I was talking about self-love and manifesting and those sorts of things, and I asked you to do a little bit of homework for those that watched last week, to start asking yourself about how does this make me feel in any situation, whether it's a good situation or a bad situation, for you to start recognising in every step of your life how it makes you feel. Because we're talking about self-love and we're talking about doing things that make you feel good. So hi everybody that's popped on. Did anybody have a look at what they were doing through the week? Did you notice how you felt in any situations? Because that's the first step. Self-love is the first step for manifesting, and it's the first step for spiritual development. And this week, so what we're going to do each week, we're going to go through a different step towards helping you manifest the way of life that you want for your highest good. So the first week, last week, was self-love. This week is releasing and forgiving. And we'll talk about that for about 20 minutes, half an hour, maybe even less, maybe more. And then we'll pull some cards and have a look at where you are on your manifesting. So we're talking about releasing and forgiving. Why do we need to release and forgive? What does it do? What benefits do we get out of doing that? Okay, it stops us from being a slave to our past. So I've been married twice, I've had things happen in my life, and I got to the stage that I just wanted to shake it off. I just needed to work through it. I tried counselling, I tried Dianetics, I tried all these sorts of things to try and release and forgive and move forward. And I didn't find anything that quite fitted. Now, I'm saying this, it's for entertainment purposes. If you're going to a counsellor or a psychologist, continue doing what you need to do. If your doctors advise you to do that, you keep doing that. But this is just my opinion, what's worked for me and what's happened, okay? So this is purely my opinion and what's worked for me. And so I've written and put the processes down in my book, 7/8 of Me, A Tale of a Spiritual Adventurer. And that's available, and my cards are available on www.lindawillowroberts.com. So what I did when I got to trying to release and do forgiveness, and why did I do it? We need a light heart to manifest from. Like I said last week, at the end of your life, in Egyptian mythology, they weigh your heart on scales against a feather. And your heart needs to be light. When it's heavy, you're bogged down, everything's hard to do, you're tired, you're sluggish. You need to unburden and make room for the new. And that's why we do the releasing and the forgiving. Because when you are in a place of unforgiveness, that is not a joyful place to be. That keeps you in your past. So if you're wanting to manifest and move forward, we need to work on those things. And releasing and forgiving is really, really, really important. So how did I do the releasing and the forgiving? I actually wrote 57,000 words. What I did, and I'm not suggesting that you do this, but this was what happened to me. I ended up selling everything or giving it away. I moved with 2 suitcases. I moved to Queensland, and I was by myself. At times I felt very isolated when I moved, and I had no one around me that I knew. And I started writing, which is what I thought was going to be the book. But the things that I wrote about will never come to light because I don't need to talk about them anymore. But as I kept writing, I was basically, this is the process that I used. I would write down how I felt, what happened, what the situation was, who was involved, how it made me feel. And then at the last sentence, I would put, I now release all hurt, pain, and any discomfort and unforgiveness. I release that now to the universe and I let it go. And I found that it was the most powerful thing that I've ever done. Some days it was really, really hard. Some days I'd just cry. And luckily I lived across the road from the Pumice-Stone Passage on the Sunshine Coast, and I'd go and sit in the water and I'd howl. And it was days before I could go back and do it. And I was cursing spirit. Why are you making me do this? This is horrible. I don't want to be doing this. I wanted to keep going and do other things. And because sometimes when we've got things inside that we need to get rid of, we have resistance, and that makes us want to be busy, and it makes us want to go and do self-sabotage, do all sorts of things. I was the queen of self-sabotage. Anything that I could get a quick fix to make me feel better, I actually did. And I still have to work on that because there's times that I'm still working on myself every day, and I still have to work on that. So the more that you put into yourself and the more you release and the more work that you do on yourself, the easier it becomes. So that was the process was writing. I found that to be the most powerful thing that I've ever done. And like I said, I tried lots of other things. Now, when you're forgiving somebody, that doesn't mean that you're actually saying it's okay, that's their behaviour was okay. It's symbolic. It's for you. It's not for them. It's for you to actually forgive and let go. And symbolically, when I used to work in a call centre and we would have not very nice calls, and I'd get off and I'd go, I forgive you. You don't know, and they didn't know any better. If you think of it as like there's no right and wrong, there's just, this is how I live in my world, and this is how they live in their world. That's all that they know. And then we look at conditioning, and then that's when we look at releasing and conditioning. And when you look at how your parents were brought up and the things that they said, You know, some of the patterns that we need to release because there's no place for that in 2019. So forgiving is really, really important. It is imperative that you do that. So I'll say it again. First paragraph, write down what the situation was, how it made you feel, who was involved. And the last paragraph, you say, I now release, whether it was pain or anger or sadness or fear or unforgiveness. I now release it to you, Spirit, and I let it go. Or the universe or white light, whatever words suit you, that then you let it go. It's easy enough for me to sit here and say that, but I've actually done it, and that's a process that I went through and that really, really helped me. And when we're talking about releasing, on the other spectrum of things, we're releasing blocks and patterns. And I mentioned our parents' conditioning. Like, I had a pretty good childhood. Mine wasn't a tortured childhood, and I wasn't abused. But there was things that I brought through as an adult that actually affected me. I just want to answer a question. Nikki just said, what if it's happening right now? Do you wait until it's played out? Well, Nikki, that's up to you. Do you want to forgive, release, and move on from that person? If it's, you know, it's got to be the right time for you. You will know if you've asked the question, what if it's happening now? I'm pretty well sure that you're in the stages of, I want to just start working through this and release it now. So if you're asking the question, can I release it? I'd say that you're there. You know, when we make excuses and we don't, and the resistance is there, and we make excuses of why we can't forgive that person or what we're holding on to, that's sort of keeping us at bay a little bit. Spirit will give us little slaps, of course, to help us move forward. But, you know, you get through there and you forgive them. Not for them, but for you. Okay? Kaz said, I use double Z, though I like to be a little different. Okay. So we're talking about releasing. So we're releasing conditioning from our parents. So when it comes around, so say we're talking about prosperity and money, and we know that that's just energy, and we're releasing things to help us financially. Okay, so years ago I did 2 Louise Hay 10-week courses. Okay, and it was like maybe 23, 24 years ago. So what we did was we looked at what our parents said and thought about money back when I was a child. And Mum and Dad used to say, money doesn't grow on trees. You know, there's not enough. We had a big family. We're battlers. And there was nothing wrong with that. That's what they were. They worked on a farm. They were battlers. Then Dad worked at the council, and we got hand-me-downs and stuff like that. We never thought that we were without things. But I can't live by their way of living. It doesn't suit me in 2019, especially their relationship advice. Like back then, Mum and Dad, Mum's ideal and their generation were like, you put up with it, the woman makes it work. Those sorts of things. And that didn't work for me. It works for some other people, but it just didn't work for me in my relationships, in my situation. So I'm not saying that there's one rule for everybody. You've got, like I said last week, you need to have a really good self-analysis tool and have a look at releasing. So if you're going to release blocks and patterns from your parents' way of thinking, you would put it into words, write it down, you know. This was my belief. My parents thought that they were battlers and there was not, money doesn't grow on trees and there's not enough money for everything. I now release that to the universe, and please transmute that. I'm not my family nor my family's financial issues. For a long time I've said that about my family's health issues, because I didn't want to be connected in that way that it was automatically that the thinking was that that's the way we would go. I don't know if anybody knows of Max Copper. He's a wonderful palm reader in Australia, and I had a reading with Max, I think it was last year, and he sat down and had a look at my hands, and he said, "Oh wow," and I said, "What?" And I said, "What, Max? What can you see?" And he said, "You really have cleared your family line's health issues." He said, you won't have the heart problem that they have, and you won't have this and you won't have that. And my mouth dropped open, because you can't make that stuff up. So whether or not that's worked, whether or not that's what I've done, I'm really, really happy for that to happen. So you're actually starting now, when you're with the releasing and the forgiving, is to have a look and see the patterns and why they've happened and where they've come from. And most of the time, I'm a theta healer, they can be past life patterns, but we can still release them. Kaz just asked me, do we carry our ancestors' problems with us, and does it continue to pass on down future generations? Yes, but as a theta healer, I can remove blocks and patterns. So what you start to do in this life, we're talking about this life first, Kaz. So somebody said to me in a workshop once, where do I start? Where do I start to release stuff? And I said, go back to your happiest thought. So I stopped and I thought, when was my last happiest time? And I was 9 years old. I don't know what happened after that per se, and I thought I was happy at 9. So then what can I remember? And then as things came up, like the onion layers, we lift layers, I released those with writing, and the next thing would come up and the next thing. So if you think back to your happiest time, then move forward from that. That is your best starting point. And as for Kaz about past lives, I've had done some amazing things with people for past life release of blocks and patterns. I actually, probably my favourite story was in Landsborough in Queensland. I did a reading and a theta healing on a lady at Landsborough, and we cleared lots of stuff in theta, but it was more to do with past lives and being a cook, and I could see her with the old hat on and the apron and big pots and over the fire and working like that. And so I described that, and I released the blocks and the patterns associated with that life. 2 weeks later, and I felt like she was busy and just running off her feet. And about 2 weeks later, she emailed me and said, thank you very much. This is the first time I haven't used my puffer for my asthma in 30 years. And that's not what we talked about, but we released a life, a past life. And then P.S., by the way, the dog doesn't bark anymore. The dog was underneath the table and was a yapper. And we didn't do anything or talk about the dog really, but the dog wasn't a yapper anymore. So, if you think that a past life or there's a pattern, and you think it's from a past life, you can clear that by writing. You can say, this pattern is happening to me in my life. It makes me feel. I release all things seen and unseen by me in this life, in all directions of time, and I now pass it to the universe and I let it go. It's just the intent and the way that you're writing it and the way what you're saying. So basically you're asking in all directions of time. And that's where we're theta healers, we work in all directions of time. We release it. So that's Kaz. I hope that helps you. Hang on. Kaz. So if we heal ourselves, future generations will be okay. And that's it. Whatever work we do on ourselves at this point in time alters the future generations down our family line. And, that's something that I noticed when I did those Louise Hay courses all those years ago. My daughter at the time was a teenager, and I was coming home and she was actually excited and jumping around, and she'd been arguing with friends at school or something like that, and she'd made up with them, and whatever I'd worked on that particular night and cleared had affected her at home, and she didn't even know. So by doing this, you actually are changing, hi Karen, changing family lines, generations to come, because we're cleaning up our mess, we're cleaning up our karma, really. Do you know? So this is the releasing and the forgiving. The forgiveness is so important. Releasing is work, though. That's, you know, that's your homework for the next week. You need to be doing the releasing, and you need to be working on it and doing some writing. And the more that you put into it, the more that you're emptying out, so that you're making way for new stuff, and you're becoming a lighter body. So when we talk about light bodies and God, Christ consciousness, that's all light. That's all lightness, you know. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't think that I've done this work and then nothing happens. Like, something could blow up in the family and I have an explosion of myself, and I lose it and all the rest of it. And I'm still human, and I still have to work on that sort of stuff, and I still have to clear it and figure out in my head where it's come from. And remember, it mirrors us, so I have to look and say, where's that in me? So I do a lot of work on that sort of stuff. Tracy just said, trauma is passed on through our DNA, so what you're saying is so important for the future generations. That's correct. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're clearing our generations. And when I went to see John of God in Brazil a couple of years ago, regardless of what your thoughts are about John of God and what's going on with him, he was a healer, healed a lot of people, and I don't get involved in the politics or the personal information about him. But when you're at the Casa in Brazil, in Abadiânia in Brazil, there's different prayer areas that you can go to, and there's wooden triangles that you can pray to, and there's the different archetypes, and King Solomon. There's a big picture of King Solomon that I would go up to, and I was just drawn to him and drawn to this space in the garden, and I prayed into that. Now, I prayed for family members. Some have passed, some haven't. I've prayed for children, and you know, I took photos with me and I prayed for them. And then I sort of stopped and I thought, look, I've prayed for them nearly every day. Now what do I do? You know, it was sort of like, now what? And as I was walking away, Ron, who lives in the street, he's in a wheelchair, he said to me, what's going on? What's wrong? And I must have had a frown on my face because I was thinking. And I said to him, I don't know what to pray for now. And I always pray for the world and humanity and all of those things. And he said, where are your parents? And I said, my parents have passed over. And he said, what sort of life did they have? And I said, oh, they had a good life and loved one another. I said, but it was a hard life. And he said, well, why don't you pray to release their karma? And I went, oh, I didn't know I could do that. And he said, but we're living in an unlimited time. There's no limits. And so I then pray for Mum and Dad's karma to be removed, so that when they come back next life, they have a better life. And so most of the spiritual work that I've done is to make sure that I don't have the first half of my life that I've had so far. This half of my life's great, but the first half was a bit shitty. But in saying that, I wouldn't be who I am or where I am today without having that. But I want to make sure next time around I'm having it pretty easy. So, you know, that's food for thought. You know, this, like I said, these are my experiences, my opinions, and you take out of what resonates with you. Nikki said, I've noticed a pattern with things that happened to my mother continued to me, and unfortunately to my daughter, so I definitely agree with Tracy. That's exactly right. So in my book, 7/8 of Me, A Tale of a Spiritual Adventurer, I have the processes. Can you see that? Yep, I have the processes over here, and that's where we are with releasing and forgiving. So releasing and forgiveness, so definitely do the writing. Make sure, you know, even with the lessons that we learn, we need to let go of those lessons to the universe, or otherwise we drag them behind us, and it's heavy. We've got to get rid of all the heavy shit. Basically, that's it. Anything that's heavy, we've got to do the work, we've got to release it, and we've got to let it go. So in the releasing and the forgiveness is, you cannot be a slave to your past when trying to move forward. Releasing blocks and patterns from your conditioning and all directions of time is imperative. Do you need to forgive yourself? So don't forget yourself. You know, even when I was doing the self-sabotagey things and even now, every now and again, I've got to just like stop and forgive myself for reacting that way or feeling that way or doing that. So don't forget in the forgiveness scale of things to forgive yourself. So did you need to forgive yourself, a person or a situation? What things keep recurring in your life? Dig deep. The more layers you remove, the more room you make for the new to come in. So that's what I'm saying. That is what's going to help you manifesting. So last week we had the self-love, the recognising what any situation makes us feel like. It's in the cards today, it was like the surroundings. Have a look at what's surrounding you. Have you got the love and everything that you need around you? Then we've got now the releasing and the forgiving. So we've got the information that we need. I've given you the process. It's in my book, 7/8 of Me. So if you wanted to go over to my website and purchase that, it's www.lindawillowroberts.com. And it's got the process in there for releasing and forgiving. So whatever work you do will ripple down to your children and for further generations. So I've given you a few things to work on for the next week. Write as much as you can, release as much as you can. And just know that resistance plays a little bit in there. So if you go to do something and think, oh, bugger it, I'll watch TV, or I'll go to the loo, or go for a walk, or I'll go and lay down, know that it's working there. And so the resistance will play a part in that, but just be aware of it, okay? And so what we'll do for the next half an hour, has anybody got any questions about that? I'm just going to scroll back through. Kaz said, when you write it out, do you keep it or burn it or let it go? Do you know, Kaz, I don't really need to do anything ritualistic anymore. Yes, I've got candles and crystals and everything in here, but we're in an unlimited thinking and an instant manifestation stage at this point in time. We're fifth dimensional, so you don't need really to do any of the ritualistic stuff. It doesn't need to be burnt, thrown away or anything, because when you actually do that last sentence, you're then releasing it, so it doesn't matter. I've probably got it on my computer. Like I said, I wrote 57,000 words of releasing, and I really purged myself. And I don't need to read it again. I don't need to keep it. To me, it's null and void anymore. That's how much I let go. So for me, I don't need to burn it. I don't need to do anything to it, because I let each of those things go with so much intent to the universe that once they were written, they were gone. So your determination to move forward and alter your life gives it a bigger boost. Excuse me. Let's have a look. Elizabeth said, I'm trying to manifest something to come into my life and it's taking so long. Can you block it from coming? Yeah, you sure can. You can block it by thinking about it all the time. We're talking about getting light, Elizabeth, getting light and releasing stuff. If you've done the work, if you're doing the self-love work, the releasing and the forgiveness, you're actually building a really solid foundation. You're lightening the load, you're getting rid of stuff, and you're making room for new stuff. So we're not thinking about it at this stage of what we're manifesting. All we're doing is working on ourselves. So our energy and our vibration is automatically raising. And so other things will start to match. Other people that are working on themselves will start coming into our lives. You know, if you don't work on something and it's a block and it's a pattern, it will continually surface another person will come in that'll have the same thing happening. And so in the end, you're around all of them. Remember the surroundings, you're around all these people that are all in the same situation. So I'm going to swear here, and I'm sorry. So I have had a relationship with an asshole. So I must have been an asshole myself. So do you know what I'm saying? So you've got to look at where it's coming from in you. And so when you raise your vibration and you're actually working on yourself, then those other situations and people are going to come in and match that. Karen O'Connor said, Linda, I've read your book. It was amazing. I could resonate with the part you lived in England. When I go to North America, my heart jumps with joy. Thanks, Karen. I absolutely love going to England to sacred sites. Do you know, before I had done all of this work, I hadn't gone anywhere. I had been in Tasmania, and yes, I travelled to Queensland and New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, but that's about as far as I've gone. But now I've been and I've had trips around the world, and I've written the book that Karen was talking about, which is 7/8 of Me, A Tale of a Spiritual Adventurer. And I talk about my processes, and then I talk about me getting my spiritual wings and starting to fly and to, you know, do those sorts of things. So that's the process. I'm not just talking words. It's real. It's real. It happened to me, and that's what I did to get there. Tanya Dixon said, I've been doing crystal bowl healings the last few weeks, and I'm amazed with what has come up to release. Some stuff I didn't even know I was carrying around. You don't, because it's under the layers. So when you start lifting 5 layers, something comes up and you think, oh my God, wow, where was that? I didn't even know that bothered me, that was there. You're unpacking. And you're unpacking things that you didn't even think were major in your life. Somebody might have said something and it's just stuck with you. You know, years ago when we did cutting cords with Archangel Michael and those sorts of things and psychic surgeries, we would actually physically felt like you were pulling out like a little splinter or a thorn out of a dark thorn from somebody's words that negative words that they've said to you. It's sort of like that, but it's in there, and we need to unpack it. And the more you do, the benefits outweigh what you've held on to, and it just makes you light. So okay, let's do some reading. So these, now remember, hang on, I just want to read what Patricia said. That happens to me a lot. I think about all the negative stuff all the time, so that is what it keeps happening. I'm trying to self-love and stop the negative thoughts. Thank you for letting me know why. You're very, very welcome. You're very welcome. And half of the is realization and knowing that was happening. Do you know, I fought spirit tooth and nail, and they kept giving me signs, and the signs kept getting bigger, and the slaps were bigger, and it was like they were trying. I reckon my archangels or my guides looked absolutely buggered by the time I finally got it, because they really try and help you. And once the self-analysis kicks in and we realize where the blocks and the patterns are coming from, that's half the battle, really is. Betsy said, my motivation level is totally gone and I just don't care about anything at all, nothing. How can I go about fixing myself? I felt this way for a couple of years now. I don't know where to start. Betsy, watch last week's live feed. It started with self-love. This one's about releasing and forgiving. It's a process. It's the process that I use on myself and that I've written about in 7/8 of Me. That's available on my website, www.lindawillowroberts.com. It's a process, and that will help you to get where you need to be. Okay, so we're going to pull some cards. Now, remember I'm a Manifestor Magical Oracle Cards. They're my own cards. See, there's me. And I'm going to be asking manifesting questions for your highest good. So we're sort of saying to Spirit, okay, so Tanya Dixon would love one of your cards, please. So Tanya, I'm asking Spirit for your highest good. What can we guide you or help you with, and where are you on your manifesting journey? So remember, we've taken it out of our own hands. We're partnering with Spirit, and they're helping us. So Tanya, I feel like your eyes are wide open before I even pull a card. It's like you're looking for the first time. I feel like that you're really seeing things clearly, which is a really good thing. So Tanya, let's have a look. You got in the now. So this is what I'm saying. You know, I said to you that you're seeing things clearly. So it's staying in the now, being present, omnipresent, means that you're not missing anything. You're seeing everything truly how it is. So when we need to stay in the present moment, we need to stop thinking about the past and about the future and stay in the moment to appreciate and have gratitude for what we're seeing now. And Tanya, that's exactly where you are, and that's the card that you've got. And you need to continue to do that so that it's not so overwhelming when you look at the big picture. If you stay in the present moment, it just flows. Okay, let's have a look. Jane Sharon said, I would love a card. Hey, and guys, while you're listening to me, would you please share this live feed and anybody else that you think might need it? So just share this live feed if that's all right. It's down the bottom of the page. It's on the left-hand side and it's got share. Just share it. Okay, let's have a look. Jane Sharon would like a card. Let's have a look. Where are you, Jane, in your manifesting? Open door. There you go. That's the opposite of what I got for the general reading today. Open door. Look at that. Jane, walk through. There's a door open, walk through. The only thing that would stop you from walking through that door is fear, and that's you. So release fear and doubt and walk through. And if you can see it, there's a kookaburra and there's a dolphin in the water, and it's just wide open for you. So that's where you are at the moment. Anna Damon, I would love a card, thank you. Okay, so Spirit, we're asking for Anna Damon for a card. And Anna, I feel there's a bit of sadness around your heart, so that the releasing and the forgiveness might help you. But let's have a look. Anna Damon, what can we help you with? Anna Damon. Home. Now, this is a funny thing. I got this card twice up before. So this is saying to me, be grateful for your home. Home is where the heart is. This is your home. This is your palace in the sky. So try and spend a little bit more relaxing, nurturing, and just making sure that you're appreciating where you are and you get to actually sit and in appreciation. You know, sometimes we have wonderful homes and lovely spaces and we're so busy we don't get time to appreciate them. So that's what it's saying to you at this point in time. Nikki Darwell, one of my biggest struggle to manifest is money, but that's money blocks, I think. Yeah. So release old conditioning from your parents. Make sure that you respect your bills. You know, one of the things that we were taught early on is, you know, get a bill and say, like, thank you, because I can afford to pay this. Do you know, it's your thought process around it. So, Nikki, let's have a look and see what the manifesting cards. These are I'm a manifestor, and they're a bit sparkly, but I'm not sure that you can see them. Okay, let's have a look, Nikki. What do you need to know? So share this live feed, put your name down, and I'll draw some cards for you. Let's have a look. So, Nikki, this is telling you to shine. This is the shine card, okay? So what this is actually doing is, so you asked me about money, but this is saying for you to shine. So if you are in service, you don't think about money. You use your abilities, your natural abilities, your wisdom, the modalities that you've learned, and your experiences to show and to shine so that people around you can learn from you. So it doesn't mean that you're actually telling them something, but you're leading by example and you're shining. So when you do that, all the rest will follow. Okay, so that's what it's saying to you at the moment. Just shine, Nikki. Let's have a look who we got. Hey, Sammy. Tracy Pello said, hello from Canada. Hi, Tracy. Let's put your, Tracy, let's have a look to see what Spirit has got for you. Don't forget to share this live feed. And let's have a look. So, Tracy. So, I think you've got a decision to make. I think you've got 2 roads to go and you've got a big decision to make. And I think what I want to say to you is the path of least resistance, okay? One seems like it's going to take a lot of work to get there, and the other one is the path of least resistance. And this is the card that you've got tonight, and it's the forgiveness card. And see, the person on the card is symbolic. They're transparent. You can see right through them. The person doesn't need to be there for you to forgive them. It's symbolic. And I think once you do that, the path of least resistance is the one that you will go down. So don't forget to forgive yourself and forgive situations as well. Doesn't mean that you're going to be okay with what happened, but you're going to forgive and let go, get out of that past. You're not going to be a slave to that, and that's going to help you with the decisions that you're going to make. And I really think that that's important for you. It's a path of least resistance. Nikki Kennett said, I'd love one, please. Recent breakup and unsure where to start again. So, Nikki, these are I'm a Manifestor Magical Oracle Cards. They are my own. So we are having a look at them. The link will be at the top of this post to my website. So, Nikki, let's have a look. So Nikki Kennett, we're asking for your highest good. So I know that you've just broken up. You know, I don't even think it's that, Nikki. So let's ask Spirit, for you to manifest for your highest good, what do you need to work with? Ta-da! Forgiveness. Okay, so it's really important, and that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about forgiveness. So if you hadn't heard previously what we talked about in the releasing and the forgiving part of this live feed, go back and listen to it. I wrote the process in 7/8 of Me, A Tale of a Spiritual Adventurer by me. You can get it on my website. It will help you with the releasing. We can't move forward unless we dump the load, basically. Dump the heavy stuff, okay? Now, I've been married twice. I'm not perfect at relationships. I'm not perfect at anything, but I work hard on myself. I work hard on releasing. I try and do the right thing, but I'm human. So if you're wanting to move forward from a breakup, you need to do the forgiving and the unpacking. You need to look at where it is in you. You need to stop the blame stuff. So we did self-love last week, so you should be able to find that on a previous post from last week. That's where we started from, and that's really where you need to go from. Patricia Thomas said, shared, may I have a card, please, to let me know where I am. Okay, Patricia Thomas, let's have a look. Thank you for sharing this post. Patricia, let's have a look. So for your highest good, we're asking Spirit for your highest good. I think that you're doing a lot of work on yourself anyway, so I think it's just fine-tuning it. Again, we've got the home. That's the 4th time it's come up tonight. So this is where you need to be concentrating. You need to be around home. You need to be nurtured. So instead of trying to think external, go internal. Home, your sacred place, a place where you should feel nurtured and safe. So Patricia, that's going to help you being there at this point in time. Deborah Norman says, hello Linda, I feel my life is about to change. Do you see positive change? Any change is positive. No, if it's uncomfortable, generally it's positive. Deborah, I feel like that you're on the precipice. I feel like that you're standing on the cliff, but a bit scared to take the foot and actually leap off. I feel like that you're very abundant and very, very successful. So I don't have any fear where you might see it as a big change. I feel that you are very successful anyway. Let's have a look, Deborah. Releasing. So this is what we were talking about tonight. We're talking about releasing and forgiving. So that's the releasing. See that she's putting, she's written on pieces of paper and she's putting them in the water and they're making their way to source light through the tree. She's out in nature and she's releasing. So release what it is that you don't want and talk about what it is that you do want. So if you listen to the beginning part or the processes in there, I've written the book, 7/8 of Me, Tale of a Spiritual Adventurer. I've got the 5 processes in there that I've used, and that's what you need help with at the moment. And you're doing it. I feel like you're doing it to a point, though. You need to really, like I said, step off that cliff. You're very, very successful, darling. Don't hold yourself back. Just keep doing it. Jeanette said, too true. She said, love the back scenery. Thank you. They're my coloured lights. I like them. Sammy said, you do your best with the knowledge you have. That's exactly right. Patricia said, yes, I am. Okay. I have to put my glasses on. Mahi Henry, sorry if I don't say your name properly. Can I have a card, please? Need to know what's my next step with regards to work. I certainly will have a look. I hope that I pronounced your name correctly. Let's have a look. So for your highest good, so you've got the trust card. So the trust card is, she's on a magic carpet. There's the spiritual train. So trust, I always say, and Archangel Nathaniel's up there. So I don't know if you can see him. Archangel Nathaniel's up there. If you want to call in Archangel Nathaniel, expect things to get burnt up quickly and lots of change. So if you're having problems in your work area, which I would say that you are because you need the trust card, ask for Archangel Nathaniel to come in and burn away any negativity. Things may get a shake up, but if you're doing it for your highest good, it will only benefit you. And trust that they're looking after you, that you're not alone. You know, I felt a bit funny this week. I can't remember, a couple of days ago, and I sort of was umming and ahhing about things and thinking, what am I doing, and blah, blah, blah. And I walked in, and here in my dining room was a feather on the floor, and I thought, how the hell did that get there? And then I went, thank you. Don't care who put it there, but thank you, because that was the sign. So, trust. Patricia said, home is my safe place and I've been doing a lot of self-care. Thank you. You're very welcome. Hi, need guidance. Cynthia Duckworth needs some guidance. So we're asking Spirit for your highest good, what manifesting card is going to help you move forward and get the way of life that you need. Cynthia, I feel like you're a very gentle soul. There's a gentleness and a vulnerability about you. And vulnerable is a beautiful place to be in, because that means that your heart is open. And I know being vulnerable can actually feel a little bit scary because you're raw, a little bit raw, but your heart's open, and don't ever close it. For whatever happens in the world around you, don't ever close your heart, because you have a beautiful heart. Okay, believe that they're around you. So you're questioning is, your passed over loved ones and your spirit guides and your animal guides. So there's a stairway on this card up here, and it's a transparent stairway. You know, we can't see them. People often say, like here and there, the spirit world is right next to us in another vibration. So there's not a here and there. It's just a different vibration. When I was in Egypt in 2016, I actually was at a temple, and I can't remember, maybe it was at Dendra, at the Hathor's temple, and I actually seen the vibration with my mortal eyes, and it looked like a vertical heat haze, and it went like that. And I said to a girlfriend, how do I explain what I seen? It wasn't liquid, it wasn't like Stargate, it was more transparent than that. And she said it's the matrix effect. So believe that they're there and they're with you, and they're not far away, they're just in another vibration. And you know, that's how close that they are. I hope that helps you. Susan Robbins said, lots of memories in my dreams recently. Great to remember them, but also great to release and let go. Please, because I have a card. Yes, you can, Susan. It is nice, you know, our subconscious and our dreams and the spirit world, you know, take us off of a night, and we get to do our learning of a night when we're sleeping. And a lot of people say to me, I felt bloody exhausted when I woke up. And I said, have you asked them that if they're going to take you off to teach you through the night, that you wake up feeling well rested? And they went, no. So as long as those memories and those dreams are not affecting you in the waking hours, if they are, just say to them, I'm happy to have them, but make sure I'm waking up feeling well rested. But let's have a look for Susan Robbins. So Susan, let's have a look. What do you need to know? What can we help you with, spirit? Let's have a look. And manifesting for your highest good. The jigsaw puzzle. I like the jigsaw puzzle. So this is a card. You've got Horus up in the corner watching over everything. You've got the angels with the jigsaw pieces, and they're putting everything around and putting all the cards and the jigsaw pieces together. And it's free will. When we're waiting for things to come together, we've got to wait for other people's free will. We've got to wait for things to be right time. We've got to wait for it to be perfect for us, because if it wasn't, then we keep making the same mistakes, and we keep doing the same patterns. You know, when we start working with spirit and we start asking spirit to help us for our highest good, we've given the ownership over to them, for them to put it together for our highest good. It may not look quite exactly what we thought, but that's where they are. It's coming together. So that means, Susan, that you don't need to do anything. Spirit's up there putting it together. No, but that's okay. I'm sorry for not pronouncing your name right. Deborah said, thank you, Linda, so very much appreciated. Helen Gray said, Helen, so just share this live feed, and you know, you can follow me on, so I'm Linda Willow Roberts from I'm a Manifestor Facebook page. If you forget, you can find me on my website, which is www.lindawillowroberts.com, and you can find my Insta page, my Facebook page, and connect with me over there. Okay, let's have a look. Helen Gray. Let's tune in to Helen. Oh, did you see I've got my wings on tonight? She conquered her demons and wore her scars like wings. That's what it says. I'm reading it upside down and I couldn't see it. Okay, Helen Gray, let's have a look. Let's have a look, Helen. Helen, just at work, just be careful that you don't get involved with work gossip and things like that. Just walk away from it. You don't have to say anything. Okay. You got the Native American shamanism. So what that means is vision quest, dreams, being connected to birds in flight, animal totems, all those sorts of things, calling in your ancestors to show you what you need to see. Now remember, when you're asking for clarity and for signs from spirit, remember, show me what is seen by me and unseen by me. So maybe sometimes we have tunnel vision and we're only seeing this bit. We want to be like Spirit and like Horus and get to see what they get to see. So just remember to ask what is seen and unseen by you, connect to the birds, your animal totems, all of those things, and they will guide you. They will guide you, you know, easily than other people. Let's have a look. Love to get a card, please, about health and life. Well, Tara Reynolds, we're using my I'm a Manifestor Magical Oracle Cards. So these are manifesting cards. And they go with my 7/8 of me, A Tale of a Spiritual Adventurer. So, Tara, we're going to ask Spirit where you need help with or what you're doing on your manifesting journey for your highest good. So let's have a look. Tara. Let's have a look. Okay, children. So this is the card that you got up at the moment. It's about children. So how do we get a children card and manifest? So what we're talking about is children. Look at things like through the eyes of children. They look at it new. They look at things curious. They see things for the first time. So that's telling me, you know, for you to go and do some things that you haven't done before, and to play and to have fun and to just remember, you know, what you did when you were a kid that was fun and you were free. So the children aspect is actually telling you to you know, nurture the inner child in you. Part of the releasing work that I did, I actually went back to my childhood at different ages and did a meditation, and I can't even remember whose it was, but it was one off YouTube. And I went back and I held that young me, and I think I was probably about 5, in my heart, and I cuddled her and I loved her, and you know, that's where we need to be. I mean, some people have said to me that I'm a little bit immature because I get excited about things and I play. I love rainbows and fairies and colourful things and skies and playing and flowers and wishes and all sorts of things. But by doing that, I get to stay in the present moment and I get to see the magic in the ordinary every day. And I really enjoy that. And I really love being able to do that. So if I can look at something through children's eyes, then that's how they're innocent, they're curious, and it's all new. And that's really a beautiful place to be at. Now, we talked about tonight earlier about releasing and forgiving. If you could do some work this week on that, next week, Wednesday night between 6 and 7, we're going to be working on gratitude. That's our next week. So last week we did self-love. You can find in the spiritual events directory library, you can see last week's was self-love. This week is releasing and forgiving, and next week is gratitude. Each week we're doing a step towards manifesting, because I want to help you manifest the best life for you, for your highest good. Okay, thank you for joining me on Spiritual Events Directory. I'm Linda Willow Roberts from I'm a Manifestor Facebook page. Now remember, you can purchase 7/8 of me, or I'm holding up my book card, I'm a Manifestor Magical Oracle Cards. I do think we've sold out of what we had published for the cards, but you could contact the publisher. But 7/8 of me, A Tale of a Spiritual Adventurer, is available on my website, www.lindawillowroberts.com. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm sorry if I didn't get to you. I hope that there was a message in there somewhere that resonated with you. If you missed the releasing and the forgiving pass in the first half an hour, go back and watch it again, because I do give you the processes and how to write it out and how to release it. So that's something that you can have a look at. Please have a wonderful week. Be kind to yourself and be open. Love you. Bye.